Coming up, we're going to decide which is the best land in the universe at Universal Studios Florida. From the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida, this is the Universal edition of The Diz Unplugged. This is episode 176 of the Diz Unplugged Universal Edition. The Diz Unplugged Universal Edition is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, experts at helping you plan the perfect universal vacation. Visit them on the web at www.dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Diz Unplugged Universal Edition. I am your host, Craig Williams, and today I'm joined alongside by my Ghost, Mr. Ryno Clavin.
Hello.
Hey. Welcome to this week's episode of the Diz Unplugged Universal Edition, as I said, just like 30 seconds ago, less than that. Today we have another fun episode for you, so not a lot of news to talk about. In fact, no news to talk about. And with Memorial Day weekend, we could sit back and hear about Ryno's experience at the parks, hearing if it was busy, if it was slow, if it was medium. But I generally don't care about that.
It rained.
And there you go. So that was the Ryno recap of what it was like to go to Universal over Memorial Day weekend. So very interesting. But we still need to figure out something to do for an episode in the meantime. So this isn't really a play off our ideal day at Universal that we did a while back, but have been still receiving a lot of good compliments about that episode. And in fact, I know multiple other people are taking the idea and running with it in other ways too, including I know the unofficial Universal Orlando podcast that we talked about on here before. They will be doing an Ideal Day episode as well too, because they liked it so much. So when that comes out, make sure you give those guys a listen so you can hear what their ideal days are. But when you're looking towards an ideal day, I guess the number one thing you're looking towards is what are the best things to make your day. And so now here comes the big stretch. If you were waiting for it, where the hook was, the stretch was. It's I think the ideal day is made up by the best attractions, and even more than that, with theme parks, you're looking for the best overall experiences, and I think the best place to find them is in the individualized lands that make up a theme park. And so what we're going to do today, which has no real correlation to everything that I just rambled on about, we are going to pick which is the best land in Universal Studios Florida by factoring in attractions, the entertainment and shows, as well as the dining and the shopping. Now, I
already know the answer.
Here is the caveat, though. We are not including the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Diagon Alley because
that's the answer.
I know. Well, that would make it just too simple, and I'm not really. I don't want to make this simple, and even then, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe something else could win, but let's be honest. No, nothing else could win. And then obviously the last ingredient in that mix, I mentioned the attractions, the entertainment / shows, if it has it, the dining, the shopping, and then finally just the overall theme of it, if the theme is portrayed well. So those are going to be the 5 factors that we're looking at. And like I said, we're going to go over all of the different areas.
Both theme parks?
No. Just Universal Studios.
Okay.
And then maybe one day we will do the big show off where the top 2, obviously the 2 Wizarding Worlds, and then the winner of each of the parks go up against each other to decide who is the big one. But we'll have to see. This could just crash and burn after this one and we never do it again, which it probably will. But
because the dragon from Diagon Alley will... I don't know, something about fire from its mouth. I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah, no, I didn't know either.
Come back to me.
Will do. So, fantastic. Are we? I should ask. Are we ready to jump in and go over this?
Yeah.
Which ones do we want to start with? Do we want to start with rides and attractions, maybe decide who has the best land just based on their rides and attractions.
Sure.
I think that's a fun place to start with it. I think it's the most obvious. So I'm going to start with the first land that we walk in when we get into the park, and consider everything with this as I'm going through. So once you get inside Universal Studios Florida, the first land that you come to is Production Central, and this has I dare I say it, a smorgasbord of lands or of attractions.
What are you, Templeton from Charlotte's Web?
I
That's the song he sings in the movie.
The animated version.
Yeah, Paul Lynde sings a song about the smorgasbord of food and whatever. Sorry.
It's been quite a while.
Nobody
since
watched
I've
that
seen
on repeat to the point of child abuse as a child? No. Just me.
Yeah, just you. But no, that's okay. So, Production Central is home to some of the most exciting attractions at Universal Orlando. So, the first one that you'll encounter if you're looking in the right direction, which is funny because it's actually on the left, not the right, but you have Despicable Me Minion Mayhem. You have Transformers, the ride, 3D, kind of back in the corner, almost in New York, but just not quite. You have the Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket, which is obviously like the icon of Production Central. And then, unfortunately, you also have Shrek 4D. So a pretty strong lineup. Any that stick out to you is maybe giving Production Central a better chance at winning this?
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that want the Rip Ride Rocket. Well, they'll just be like, well, that's the best roller coaster in that theme park.
Yeah, and that is slightly true. But another strong area, semi-strong, would also be New York then, which New York is the location
True.
of one of the best attractions in the park, of course, Revenge of the Mummy. But it is
I thought
also,
you were going to say the show with the builders.
Oh, no, see, we're not even going to. We may include that in, but really, that's just like a negative for everything. I hate all those shows.
Yeah.
But New York does kind of have a downside to it, and that is that it has what is perhaps the worst, and I mean the worst attraction inside all of Universal Orlando, and that is Race Through New York, starring Jimmy Fallon. So, where Revenge of the Mummy is raised up, Jimmy Fallon lowers it all down. So keep that into consideration.
Yeah, and as much, I don't think Production Central has one that quite brings it all down that heavily. I know Shrek's not everyone's favorite, but it's better than Jimmy Fallon.
Sorry, and I know it's technically a show, but I consider it an attraction. But the Blues Brothers, also in New York, that's a nice other helping hand to it. So but we can also, I mean, that's, I'll keep that in the shows and entertainment.
Yeah.
So we'll leave that off to the side. So ignore that in there. Just go with the mind of Revenge of the Mummy or Race Through New York. New York?
Unique New York. New York.
I messed that one up. So let's move on ahead into your favorite place by the bay. San Francisco.
Where the watermelon grow?
No, I don't know if that's accurate. But yeah, the next land up we have is, of course, San Francisco. This is a tough one because right now the only attraction in San Francisco is...
Well, we could just go ahead and put this on the bottom of the list.
There is no bottom of the list, just one on top. And that is, of course, Fast and Furious Supercharged. Only attraction right now.
I did this over Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah,
Again?
Yeah,
and my friend who had not done it yet looked at me and was like, that was it? I'm like, yeah. So
an honest assessment.
Yeah.
A true and honest assessment. So moving over into World Expo, we have 3 attractions here for you, and those, of course, are I'd say 2 good ones and one just okay. But we have, of course, Men in Black: Alien Attack. Then we have the Simpsons ride and Kong and Kodos' Twirl and Hurl.
Oh, so Men in Black gets thrown in with the Simpsons
It
area.
does. It's all considered World Expo. Springfield was never designated as its own land, even though it probably deserved to be.
Yeah, it really should be.
But no, it is still all a part of World Expo. So just let your noggin think on that one too. And then with Woody Woodpecker's Kid Zone, for the attractions, we technically have E.T. Adventure and Woody Woodpecker's Nut House Coaster, which it's just crazy. And
a bit nutty.
Yeah, that is true. And then since we're not considering shows in the attractions, the rides portion of it, technically Hollywood has nothing because, well, it just doesn't. So
Oh yeah, because Terminator's not there anymore.
yeah, and even then, that was more of a show. And same thing with the horror makeup show. So I think maybe San Francisco will beat out Hollywood. But so Rhino, if you had to choose one of these, which has the best? Which land do you think has the best set of rides?
Ugh, it's tough because I love the Mummy so much, but I don't like Jimmy Fallon so much that it's like I feel like they're counterbalancing each other. And like personally, I'd probably say it's the one with Rip Ride Rocket, Production Central, Rip Ride Rocket, Transformers, Shrek, and Minions because it's got a little bit for everybody. But I don't like Rip Ride Rocket, and I don't ever go in the Minions because it's always a long line, and I'm never there. I never time it out correctly to be like, oh, I used my Express Pass. And then Shrek, well, why? Why would I do that? So it's tough for me. It's tough. I think if I'm coming in from an outsider's perspective, from a first visit, I'm gonna say Production Central.
Okay, that's it. I have to actually agree with you on this one. Just as an overall feel to it, while I don't do Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket ever.
Never. I don't do it either.
I will go on it occasionally when I feel like it's been a while and I need to do it again, but I hate it. I hate it so much. But yeah.
Some people love it. Yep. Some people that's what they live for. They want to go and ride that ride, you know?
Yeah. I think Shrek is the biggest downfall of it. I actually enjoyed Despicable Me a lot. It's still I just like those movies. The third one was not good once I finally watched it, but the first two movies, the first two are enjoyable, and I think it translates well into the attraction. And Transformers, say what you will about it, it's a fun ride.
Yeah.
So I don't get motion sickness, so it doesn't bother me. I think it's a lot of fun. It's not as good as Spider-Man, but it's still fun. So just overall, it's the most well-rounded. And I would even say, and I know you will accuse me of heresy by this, but considering it's got 4 rides, with only technically one of them being weak, I would actually, if we were including Diagon Alley in this, I would say overall Production Central has a better slate of rides than...
Well, because Diagon Alley really only has the one.
Yeah, and then if you count the one-way on the Hogwarts Express, it still doesn't... I don't think it compares to Production Central. And even then, like...
In variety, I would say. In variety. It wins on variety.
Yes, I could agree with that. So, but we have to look at the shows and entertainment as well, too, because we said that we would do so with this. And, well, I can tell you one that's not going to make the list this time around is the best, because that would be Production Central. And unless we're counting the random times of the year where there are
Mardi
concerts.
Gras? Yeah,
but no, I can't.
But if you came up Memorial Day weekend, you had nothing.
Yeah, you can't count that. So there aren't really, besides the one band that is playing when you enter in the park in the morning, which I guess we could technically count that. There's just nothing happening there.
I've never even seen that. So
yeah, and every now and then there will be character interactions. Woody Woodpecker will sometimes be out there. Some
Interesting.
Just random ones. But yeah, there's a whole lot of nothing happening out front of Production Central, which isn't necessarily a problem inherently, but it could be better for sure. But what in life couldn't be better? So moving through to New York,
ice cream.
Ice cream.
I was just thinking of things that couldn't be made better.
Oh,
it's kind of perfected.
Fantastic. It could be made better though. I stand by it. Moving through to New York, as I said, we've got just a handful of things here. So technically, like we already talked about, Blues Brothers show takes place in New York.
Oh, wait, but your favorite thing, the a cappella group.
and that is a strike against. But then they also have the Marilyn Monroe show.
Yeah, that's
which-
been coming out quite a bit.
Yeah, it has, but I enjoy it every time. It's simple. It's
I think it's a nice touch. Nice atmosphere.
absolutely. I agree. Same way as with Blues Brothers. It feels somewhat right, but also somewhat wrong. It would make more sense in Hollywood for Marilyn Monroe, but logistically, it couldn't really be accomplished as well as it is in New York. But that's neither.
Yeah, but her famous scene of getting stuck on the grate with the air, isn't that in New York?
It could be. However, that's
It could.
Also,
you know what? I actually think it's a movie set.
yeah, that's like one of those stretches. It's like saying Blues Brothers fit well in New York, but that movie takes place in Chicago.
But she married a Yankee, no? Didn't Joe DiMaggio play for the Yankees, or am I completely wrong? Did she also marry Joe DiMaggio, or did I make that up as well?
That was
I am
an
gonna Google
affair,
while you talk.
I believe.
Oh, whoops. Okay.
So I thought that was her thing, that she was known for
liked
her
affairs.
affairs. So potentially with JFK.
I was going to say, what are you, a Kennedy?
No.
We will not have affairs here.
Well, I did go see Chappaquiddick, and that gave me a brand new shining view of the Kennedy family. But we're not here for Chappaquiddick or affairs or any of that. But then I guess because Ryno already mentioned it, we have to sling it.
She was married to Joe.
Okay.
Sorry, real quick.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I thought it was just an affair,
ahead.
but okay. And then technically those beat builders are it's like close. It's like halfway. It's halfway in between San Francisco, but it's still technically on New York
I hate
grounds.
that show.
Oh, it's awful. So, but there is a lot of entertainment and shows in New York because of that. Moving into San Francisco, I know I haven't seen them as of lately, but it could just be timing. But they have that stupid one where they're throwing the fish back and forth.
Yeah.
So, so let's just skip on past San Francisco again. I really don't think San Francisco is going to win this one.
She was married to Joe DiMaggio for a year, and he did play for the Yankees, like
Yeah.
I said. So but she married him post his baseball career. However, sorry
No.
to interrupt you, but I just need to make sure. I feel like that's how we tie it back to New York, the Yankees.
Oh, we're way past that though.
Okay, we're in
We are
San
way
Francisco
gone.
now. We've traveled across the country.
We've already
to the
passed San
Fisherman's
Francisco.
Market.
We are actually moving on to World Expo, and so over this way we have
A lot of 90s music.
and this way. No, that doesn't play here. It could though. It would fit
But,
right in.
you know, just really bringing the mood up in the park by playing some Edwin McCain.
Oh, I was going for the yeah. I don't know.
Oh, see, I thought you were doing actually some Boys to Men. Is that I swear by the moon and the stars? I don't think those are the words.
Might not be.
Anyway.
But here in World Expo, we have Fear Factor Live, of course, which is the crowning achievement of this area. And that is the big main one. But we'll also lump in meeting the Simpsons characters out and around. Why not?
Are they really, like, Fear Factor? It's like just still going, huh?
Hey, it's a factor for some people, including you, but not me in this case. So then going to Woody Woodpecker's Kid Zone, we have classics like Animal Actors on Location, A Day in the Park with Barney, and what am I...
A lot of things that make me uncomfortable.
Why do I feel like I'm missing one more back here?
In the Kid Zone?
Yeah, I'm not.
No. Barney and the Animal
I
Actors.
think I was just getting caught up on Fievel's Playland.
That's not a show, so if there's a show happening back there,
There's always a
someone
show
call
happening back there.
security.
Oh, yeah, that really took a dark turn. For sure, but yeah. So yeah, basically we just have A Day in the Park with Barney and Animal Actors. Also not great. Not great at all. And wrapping things up with Hollywood, we
Wait,
have...
what's the guy's name? Peekaboo, Mr. Peekaboo.
Yeah. Good old-fashioned
Okay.
Mr. Peekaboo. And in Hollywood, we have the horror makeup show, of course. And I'm also going to lump it in because they don't really go beyond Hollywood except when they do the full parade. But they have the floats that come out from the parade. And
Like
they
the
do,
SpongeBob show.
Yeah.
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 They do SpongeBob, and then also they do the
Despicable Me.
yeah, and the
Dora.
dogs too. Pets, Secret Life of Pets come out too and stop there, right?
Yep. So a lot happening actually there. Then plus all the meet and greets that also happen. You'll see again
Simpsons.
Marilyn Monroe there. You'll see the Simpsons there. You'll see Lucy there. You might catch Doc Brown just randomly going through there. So a lot of characters throughout this area. So. Ryno, with all that in mind, what do you think takes the cake in terms of shows and entertainment?
I don't know. I don't know. Come back to me.
Okay, well, I would say for me the two toss-ups here are between Hollywood and New York. And I would probably give the edge to Hollywood. It's a close call because I love the Blues Brothers and I do enjoy the Marilyn Monroe show. But the other two, the acapella and the construction people, annoy
Yeah,
they're
they're so terrible that
Yeah.
they really do. It's like the same with the Jimmy Fallon thing. You got such a strong thing in the Mummy, and then you retract it from the other thing. It's hard because I do think the Blues Brothers, as far as like a show that just that happens, like it's like an actual show that is enjoyable to watch, and I don't normally in any parks, Disney or Universal, find shows like that to be good. So it's like, but I also feel like at the same time it tends to lean on the more adult, mature. It's not mature oriented. However, it's like it's classic music, so like kids, I don't know, tune into it the same way they do when like Fish on roller skates come out. Like,
Exactly. And I also find that annoying, but I feel like it offends me less because people are actually enjoying it. When you watch like the construction, and this is not taking anything away, a lot of people do enjoy the construction and the a cappella groups. It's just you don't see the joy on their faces like you do when kids are trying to see all the characters and have fun. So
well, and I do feel like if we try to balance it out for everybody, so if your kids are out there for like SpongeBob, maybe you like The Simpsons, or you want to meet Scooby-Doo or get your picture in front of the Mystery Machine, which is usually out there too. So like, I'll give it to Hollywood.
Yeah, or you have Horror Makeup Show, which is just downright awful in every way, but it's still entertaining. It's just you sit there like cringing through it the entire time. So
Yeah, I'll give it to Hollywood.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Based on just those things, yeah.
I like it. We're green on stuff. Very, very good.
I feel like it kind of edges everything out because it has the floats too,
Yep.
And that's something you go to like theme parks to see floats, And the Secret Life of Pets one is really cool. I like all the dogs on it.
Yeah, you're either going to go to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade or you're going to go to a theme park for floats.
Yep.
I know, I'm just generalizing it as if those were the only two places you can ever see any floats or anything. This next one's going to be definitely a toss-up all around. It'll be interesting to see how it comes up, but we're going to go with dining. Yes, dining. And we will start with Production Central, kicking things off. And
It doesn't have too much, does it?
well, we have the classic Monsters Cafe.
Where's the place you can get the cheesecake from?
That is the boulangerie. So let me part of me was starting to rethink that maybe that was actually in Hollywood because it's
like on the street. It's on that corner. So it's like this. It like kitty corners around. So you don't know. I don't know. It might be Hollywood. It might count.
Did you just call it kitty corner?
Yeah, kitty corners across from Hello Kitty. Kitty corner.
I always knew it as catty corner.
But no,
You're joking.
No, kitty. No, I wasn't joking though. It's kitty corner when it goes around the thing. Oh, yeah.
I've always known it as catty corner, but I trust you. I trust you on it.
Call me kitty cat.
No, thank you. Okay, so I think it is. This is really awful part. I'm sure people are yelling right now, like, how can we even do a show on this without knowing it? And the official answer is, I've never really thought about it before this. It's the Beverly Hills Boulangerie. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that it's in the Hollywood section, even though it could easily fit in the whatchamacallit. Why can't I even think of it now? Production Central. So we'll lump that in with Hollywood. instead of with Production Central. So Production Central, we're only going with the Classic Monsters Cafe.
Okay, so here's the deal.
Okay.
People from Pennsylvania, it says, as you can see from the map of responses, people in the South as far west as Texas and as far north as Pennsylvania and Nebraska are much more likely to say catty corner. And then whereas everyone else in the U.S. and Canada is more likely to say kitty corner.
Okay.
There we go. Look
See?
at that. We learned a regionalism right there in that little street in Universal Studios. Ding, the more you know.
That is absolutely correct. So, yeah, going back to it, Production Central, Classic Monsters Cafe. Keep that sulking in the back of your mind there. So we are going to then continue moving on to New York, and here we've got two really big contenders in my opinion. Of course, we have Finnegan's, the sit-down restaurant.
I always forget about Finnegan's, yeah.
Which is, I don't think the food is the absolute greatest. However, the fact that it's a full bar really does.
There's a lot for a lot of people, yeah.
It does. So
is it? We learned that it's there, and The Simpsons are the two full bars. There's only two in the park, right?
Yes, those are the two full bars.
Yeah.
So, and then also there, we had a decent experience last time we were there, but Louis, the Italian quick service. So pizza, pasta.
Oh, pizza, pasta. Yeah,
it's been a while. It's been a while since
I didn't
we
go
ate
there with you.
You didn't?
No, that was like when you went with like Charles or Steve or something like that.
Yeah,
I remember being like, "Oh, okay, I don't get pizza. It's fine."
Oh yeah, I remember. That was back when we were on weird rotation schedules where you would have been in the studio while the rest of us were out in the sun having fun. Yeah, well, it wasn't too bad, but so those are your options there.
Okay.
Moving on into San Francisco, obviously another big contender with Lombard's, the full-service seafood
Still
restaurant.
haven't reviewed it.
You have been there before, though, right?
I don't know.
I
think I went. I don't know. I think I went once for lunch like years ago. I'm pretty sure I did.
Yeah. No, I haven't.
Clearly left a lasting impression, but like.
Yeah, no, I've been there a couple times, never to actually officially review it for this show.
Yeah.
But I have been there, and I think there's definitely some benefits to it. And then even though we didn't count the bar outside of, this is where I forgot it. There is a full bar here at
That's right.
Chez
I always
Alcatraz.
forget about that one. It was there when we were for Fast and Furious. Yeah.
So there is also a good place to get drinks. I know I didn't include like the one outside of Classic Monsters Cafe with that, but that's more of a stretch. Chez Alcatraz, I think, is a good place to get some drinks. And this is our
The Monsters Cafe one isn't a full bar. You can just get beer there.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, and like frozen drinks and stuff. Yeah. Sodas, whatever.
Correct, Mundo. Then moving on into World Expo.
Wait, hold your horses. Did we say Richter Burger? Did I completely miss you saying
I forgot
that?
Richter Burger. Yeah.
Let's not forget it's Detractor in here.
That is tough. That is tough. But yeah, you're right. I forgot. I'm sorry, Richter Burger.
Okay.
Add that to the list.
Richter Burger, Richter.
San Francisco. Then moving on into World Expo. Need we say more? But literally Fast Food Boulevard plus Bumblebee Man's Taco Truck. So then going on into Kid Zone. You have the Kid Zone Pizza Company. If you dare. if you
Halloween Horror Nights. That's where you get your pizza fries, though.
Yeah, it's half the time I'm there anymore. I don't even see it open. So that is what it is. But
It's got a hidden Coke remix machine if you need to freshen up that nobody ever uses because the pizza place is always closed, but the Coke machine is on.
Yeah.
Stuck in the corner over there.
That is a very good point. And then wrapping things up with Hollywood, we'll count the Boulangerie, we'll count Schwab's, the ice cream store, and Mel's. So even though it's technically there, I'm not going to count Cafe La Bamba because that's only for VIP tours and stuff. So it's not worth counting. So we'll count those other three. So Ryno, what are you leaning towards in this? Oh, I also forgot in New York, that is where the location of the Starbucks as well. So
I'd say from me, it's a toss up between New York and the World Showcase.
World Expo.
World Expo. It's hard because at World Expo, though there's no sit down restaurant, you do have your Moe's beer, the outside.
Oh yeah, I forgot to lump Duff Gardens in there too.
Duff Gardens. I'm sorry, Duff Gardens, which I do think is a nice relaxation point. Even if you're not getting a beer, you can still get like the squishy or whatever there, and And then I feel like the Fast Food Boulevard really gives a nice variety of options for people that you can all get in one place without having to fight over going another place.
Because technically those are 5 different restaurants there: Flaming Moe's, Krusty Burger, Cletus's Chicken Shack, the seafood,
And the pizza.
Luigi's Pizza. Actually, and
Technically
sorry, then
Lisa's,
Lisa.
yeah.
So 6.
Yeah, so you can get all that stuff. You go from salad to pizza to seafood to burgers and chicken and stuff. So but then some people might want like the sit down restaurant, but I'm going to go from like, okay, I'm here with a family and we're trying to do a lot of stuff and we don't really want to, like, I don't know that anywhere, like you're like, oh, I don't know that I would say, oh, it's your first visit, please go to Finnegan's or Lombard's, so I'm going to say World Expo.
And I would have to agree with that. Wholeheartedly, I would agree that World Expo is the winner in terms of that. Like you said, it immediately just comes down to selection. The different options you have. Yes, you don't have the table service, but it just I like that I could get my tacos or nachos and go sit at Duff Gardens and have a beer. I like that if I'm in the mood for seafood, I can have the seafood. If I'm in the mood for pizza, I can have pizza.
And everybody else in your party can have any of that stuff too. Yeah. I would even argue on the point that it should win just because of the theming too, because everything is themed over there. So as far as like food goes, because you can get a Duff beer or you can get the Flaming Moe.
We'll talk about theming very, very soon. No, yeah. But before we get to the theming, we will go to the shopping next, and we're just going to kind of list off. I want to more or less consider it like our favorite stores as we go through this area, because I don't want to get too in depth of all of them. There's a lot of shopping, but some of the highlights in Production Central in terms of shopping, you have the Betty Boop store right there, which who knows, that could also be considered a part of Hollywood, and then I'm just losing my mind. But I feel like that is so on the edge.
The Betty Boop store.
It used to be Betty Boop, and now it's just mostly generalized Universal merchandise with a little bit of Betty Boop. It's the one that technically connects into Hello Kitty.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
But,
that's what I was thinking. I was confused because there's a Betty Boop store on Islands of Adventure too. So
like I consider Betty Boop to be in Production Central, but then Hello Kitty is where it shifts over into Hollywood because it took over Lucy, which that was obviously in Hollywood. You can argue on that all you want, anyone out there, but Betty Boop, it's right beside Shrek. Shrek's a part of Production Central. Makes sense to me. You have the Despicable Me store. So lots of good Minion stuff. You have the main shopping. So the Universal Studios store. So that's a big highlight there. And then Shrek 4D has its store that you exit into after the attraction.
That's right. Yeah, I always forget about that one.
And while I'm not clamoring for Shrek merchandise, I think there's actually some unique stuff in there. There's some interesting stuff. There's also some awful things.
Transformers.
And then the Transformers gift shop as well, too. So this is packed with
you can buy
shopping.
the head of Optimus Prime there if you want to.
You could. Or you don't have to. So then moving into New York, we have the better than the attraction itself, the Race Through New York starring Jimmy Fallon gift shop, which I like. It's got a lot of that retro NBC merchandise that is right up my alley. You have the Christmas store, which has your year-round Christmas
remembering
decorations.
That family vacation with a tree ornament.
Exactly. You have arguably our favorite store in all of the entire park, the Film Vault, with all the classic film merchandise that you can find. You have the really, really terrible Revenge of the Mummy store at the end.
Like, what are you buying in there? The candied bugs?
You want beads? You want random beads and jewels? Jewels?
You want a pop vinyl of whatever the mummy's name is? And it's not Imhotep, though, in the Tom Cruise one, is it?
No, it's not.
Like,
I'm still living the old one.
Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
If there was a Brendan Fraser pop vinyl in there, you can be sure I would own that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then they also have the one weird random store with all the Guinness stuff. Right?
Yeah.
Right beside Louis and
nothing like coming to
Irish
Universal Studios, get smashed on Guinness in a terrible Irish pub, and then buying stuff to go along with it. But I will give it points on being like trying to stick to the area and theming,
Yep. I agree with that. So over in San Francisco, the main thing that we do have is the Fast and Furious gift shop. So then there's the candy store that's right, also connected to Richter's and all that, but I don't really count that. Mostly just Fast and Furious, which does have the wax Vin Diesel, so selling point. Over in World Expo, you have the Men in Black gift shop, which I don't know how you feel about that, but then you also...
I actually do like that gift shop because you can get the cell phone cases made in there. And then also, when I was younger and they had Men in Black stuff, I felt like there was never a neuralizer that you could buy. And you can get your neuralizer in there. You can get your Noisy Cricket in there. You can get, if you like pugs, which I do not, you can get shirts with pugs all over it.
That is true. And then, of course, also in the Quickie Mart, you have all the Simpsons merchandise, which is pretty awesome.
Points for the Tom Hanks action figure that you want that's in there.
Yeah, I haven't seen it lately, and the problem is every time I went to get it, it was in a damaged box.
Yeah.
So not ideal, but is available there. And moving into Woody Woodpecker's Kid Zone, of course, you have the store at the exit of A Day in the Park with Barney, if you cared about that.
No stuffed Mr. Peekaboos there.
Yeah, no, one day. You have... Oh, gosh. Then another big one that you have in there is the E.T.'s Toy Closet and Photo Spot, which I enjoy because, yes, you do have... you have E.T.
And Back to the Future merchandise in there.
Yeah, so you have both of those, but specifically the E.T. stuff, which is, of course...
And the E.T. photo op that's in there. So you can go in the closet with E.T. or you can get on the bike, yeah.
So a lot to love in there. And then another big one there is the SpongeBob store pants. So if you still want your SpongeBob stuff...
Still on TV. I don't know. People still like them.
Oh, I know they still love them. But we're going to move into Hollywood and talk about their random mishmash of stuff. And that would include such things as the prop shop, which is definitely a highlight. You also have...
It is cool, yeah.
You have the Brown Derby hat shop, which instead of making the Brown Derby a restaurant, they chose to be right on the nose and make it a hat shop. Then you also have, like we said, the Hello Kitty store. You have the Cyber Image store, which was the exit.
Is that still what it's called? Yeah.
I believe it's still the official name, but it's the store that where you exited out of.
I actually really like this store.
Yeah.
Because it is one of those, I mean, if you're on vacation, what do you need in there? But they've got like The Walking Dead. They've got a lot of Doctor Who stuff. You can get comic books in there, randomly like Superman stuff for some reason.
Yeah.
But
I
don't know.
Star Wars stuff.
There's always some random thing in there where I'm like, this is actually kind of cool. I kind of want this.
So, and this was in the exit of Horror Makeup Show and then also Terminator 2, but not anymore on that. So those are your big shopping experiences right down this stretch. So a lot. So this is a tougher one, Ryno. There's a lot of good stuff here.
It's hard because the Film Vault is like for sure one of my favorite. Like it is a place where I have repeatedly bought merchandise, but I don't know that it's like for the common person. But like they've got Gremlins merchandise in there right now, so it's like the merchandise rotates in there pretty frequently, which I enjoy, and it's a celebration of like classic kind of Universal films. But then I really feel like it has to go to wherever you can get the most variety of stuff, and it seems like Production Central is probably the place where like if you're at the end of the day and you're like, oh shoot, I'm here till park close, I can't get all the way back to get, I know we're not counting Harry Potter, but you know, Simpsons something in Springfield or whatever, it's got the main gift shop, and it's actually a pretty decent variety of stuff in there. You're not going to find everything that you wanted from the day, but you'll find enough that I think it's, you know, it's good.
Okay, so you're giving it to Production Central. I am going to have to give it to... I'm going to have to give it to, I think... For me, it's between New York and Hollywood.
No, I really like that old Terminator exit store.
Yeah, I love that store. I think the Hello Kitty store, while it doesn't appeal to me, is just
well. I like that they have
crap.
and they have treats in there too.
Yeah,
that are all like deliciously looking.
And I think the prop shop, you know, when they do have actual props from the attractions, while I can't afford it, it's one of those stores that I always go in and I look in there.
It's a very unique shopping experience too. So it offers a lot of unique shopping.
Yeah, I would have to give mine to Hollywood. So just because I would give mine to Hollywood. I like what they're slinging in there. So that, oh man, this is going to be a tight one here. we might not have an answer to this puzzle. But I think we will, actually. So the next thing to wrap things up with is theming. And this will be our last final one. The themes vary throughout this park because it was a working studio, and now it's kind of been where you go to be immersed in films, televisions, and more. So Production Central is your bare bones. It's the last remaining aspects of the park that is still like a classic studio experience, very similar to what you would also see out in Universal Studios Hollywood. New York, of course, it tries to immerse you into a New York City street as much as possible, and you have the park there as well too, so you get a nice general aspect of New York as a whole. And when you're standing in New York, of course, you can look over across the water, and you still see Central Park too, which is a nice touch. Theming is definitely pretty cool here. San Francisco, well, it is what it is. So you could argue that it is themed after San Francisco. It's been a while since I've been to San Francisco, almost 20 years, but I don't remember San Francisco looking much like this, with the exception of Lombards.
It's just weird because they had even when it was still Jaws, because you were like, it goes this
Amity, yeah,
teeny tiny thing, and then goes right into a Massachusetts like Martha's Vineyard type town, and you're like, what the heck?
Yeah. It never made much sense. Still doesn't. Then we have World Expo, which is a mishmash of a lot. You have the World's Fair area with Fear Factor and as well with Men in Black, but then you have the heavily detailed area of Springfield, USA, which that might be enough to give it the prize. You have Woody Woodpecker's Kid Zone, which is just too many themes being thrown around of classic characters like Fievel, E.T., Barney, Curious George, just a complete mess overall. And then Hollywood, of course, which is kind of Hollywood. I would pinpoint it somewhere around the 40s. It's still in the classic sense of it, but not. It still is just. It's kind of bland for the most part. I love the theming there, but it always feels like it just needs a spruce up or a paint job to really help it pop. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's kind of the overall theming of those areas. So, Ryno, do you know what you would give it to?
The World Expo. I think because every time I do walk through the Simpsons area, I think about how when the Simpsons first opened, it was just that one building. And I'm always like, wow, they did such a good job of kind of incorporating the carnival games with like the spoken, what's the Kangs thing called? That type of ride, the Dumbo ride. And
Hub and Spoke.
And Hub and Spoke, yeah. And then it's got the outdoor bar area, but it all kind of works together to really feel like, with the music playing, you're kind of like, I've walked into this fun, whimsical, thing that does remind me of The Simpsons. So not specifically being like, here we are in Springfield. Like, it still did a really good job of like theming this really area so well that I feel like I have to give it to that one.
Yeah, I'd agree. This was Universal's next step, right after the Wizarding World, really in trying to build an immersive area, and I think they completely succeeded with Springfield. And by that I mean where the fast food boulevard is and Duff Gardens, all of that. Of course, the Simpsons ride was already there, but they just upped it to the next level with Springfield, USA. So despite the very loose theming of World Expo, I think Springfield really kicks it into high gear. And with that, I guess that means, according to my official calculations I've been taking, out of a total of 10 possible choices, World Expo would be winning with taking 4 of them. It took both of us in theming and as well as was it? I don't remember now what the other one was. It might have been
what one? What?
It might have been dining.
Yeah.
It won for dining and it won for theming. So that got 4. Production Central had 3 with attractions. You and I both voted on it for the attractions, and then you voted on it for the shopping. And Hollywood also had 3 with the attractions with the shows, I think, if I remember. Yes, it was with the shows as well as then with my shopping. And New York and San Francisco came out with Jack Squat. So, but I would argue part of that, I would argue that still, even though we did it this way to decide, I would still say New York is overall one of the best all around. It's just like right below. So it's and this actually fits mine. With my opinion, Universal Studios Florida, for me it goes Diagon Alley, World Expo, and then New York. So that's just mine. But interesting. So we'll have to do this again for Islands of Adventure and see where that falls in line with that park. Very, very intrigued. And then it'll probably be head to head, like, who knows, Jurassic Park and or Jurassic Park and the Wizarding World versus the Wizarding World and World Expo. Who knows? I don't, but we'll get there one day. So, Ryno, thank you so much for taking part in this with me.
Yeah.
And everyone out there, let us know what you believe is the best land in the universe at Universal Studios Florida. Very interested in hearing what your opinions are. And, of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can leave it in the comments below. If you are listening and want to email us about it, it's uopodcast@disunplugged.com. And if you forget that, you can always go to our show notes at disunplugged.com, and you can find the email address there as well as more information, everything you need to know about this show and all the others on our podcast network, including links to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and more. Also, along with those lines, I forgot what I was going to say, which is weird because I usually have this memorized down. But, I know what I was going to say now. Our next episode is actually going to be a question and answer episode. So I'll make a post on Facebook eventually, but if you have any questions you want to send into email, now is the time to start doing so because we'll record it next week. So get them in fast and quick, and we will maybe answer your email on that show. So thank you so much, everyone out there, for listening and watching to this. And thank you again to Ryno. If you're watching this on YouTube, of course, make sure you comment, hit that thumbs up button if you liked it, and also share it. And make sure you're subscribed because we're getting close to that 100,000 subscribers point. And then on iTunes, make sure you are subscribed as well, and you are rating and reviewing us. So now, finally, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much to everyone out there for listening and watching. We will be back with you again next week for the next episode of the Diz Unplugged Universal Edition. But until then, remember, no resolutions.